Welcome to my live teaching learning session of Indian Economy BECE 2, BECE 146, Indian Economy 2. Today we will discuss about service sector. Today is your last session of this paper. In the beginning, we have done in this course of Indian Economy 2, BECE 146, agriculture sector. After that, industrial sector we have done, and now today we will do service sector. But before starting this service sector, I will discuss about the remaining portion of small scale and cottage industries which you have done in last session. First of all, you know that in Indian economy or in each and every economy, either it may be developed or it may be developing or it may be underdeveloped. Each and every economy has three sectors. One is primary sector, which is related with agriculture and its allied activities. Second is secondary sector, which is known as manufacturing sector, in which all types of industries like small scale industry, cottage industry, large scale industries, medium size industries, all types of industries included, which converted raw material into finished goods. Secondary sector is that sector which convert raw material into finished goods, which is very necessary for all human beings. And third is sector is service sector. Service sector is also known as tertiary sector. Service sector, it is clear by its name. In this sector, we include all types of services like banking, insurance, transportation, communication, shipping corporation, and other types of services. All types of services are included in service sector. So service sector consists of transportation, communication, storage, domestic trade, finance, housing, government and private services. It is a sector which produces services. Services are always called invisible or intangible items instead of just an end product which is tangible. So, goods are always called tangible or in physical terms. Goods are you can see and you can touch. If you produce any type of goods, that can be called tangible or visible. But services are always called intangible and invisible. So service sector is third sector of the economy, which play very important role in each and every economy. But before starting this service sector, I would like to complete the last session topic, which was small scale and cottage industries. You know that small scale and cottage industries are those industries in which we can define with the help of investment criteria. Industries are basically of so many types like micro industries, which is known as tiny industries. Small scale industries are those industries in which investment limit is 1 crore up to 5 crore. And medium sized industries are those industries in which investment criteria is 5 crore up to 10 crore. And large scale industries are those industries in which there is no criteria. You can invest bulk of or huge investment in large scale enterprises. Either it may be 100 crore, 200 crore, or 500 crore, or thousands of crore. You can invest in large scale industries. But in cottage industries, the investment limit is 25 lakh. So micro, small and medium enterprises, which is known as in short form MSME. MSME is micro, small and medium enterprises. The Development Act of this MSME is 2006. This act was established to provide for facilitating the promotion and development and enhancing the competitiveness of micro, small, and medium enterprises, and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. And this MSMED Act 2006 become, became operational from 2nd October 2006. You know that small scale and cottage industries are very important and it play very important role in Indian economy where labor is abundant and the big problem which arise at present, that is unemployment. And if government want to solve this unemployment problem, then small scale industries and cottage industries should be promoted. Without giving promotion, without giving encouragement, or without making policies regarding the enhancement of these industries, we can't solve the problem of unemployment, because small scale industries are helping industries, ancillary industries which help large scale industries, and large scale industries are more powerful. Sometimes large scale industries abolish the identity of small scale industries, but we know that both industries are complementary to each other. So both industries should established in each and every country for providing more employment opportunities to the country people and solve the problem of unemployment. So this was the act of MSME Development Act of 2006, which main aim was to promote and develop and enhance the competitiveness of micro, small, and medium enterprises. Next is, you know that micro industries are called cottage industries or tiny industries in which all household or family members are engaged. No hired worker is needed in micro industries. In this, if you are doing business relating to manufacturing sector, in this the investment criteria is up to 25 lakh, and in service sector the investment criteria is up to 10 lakh, and in small scale industries, the investment limit is 25 lakh to 5 crore or 1 crore to 5 crore in manufacturing sector. But in service sector, over 10 lakh to 2 crore. And medium sized industries, the investment limit for manufacturing sector is 5 crore up to 10 crore. And in service sector, 2 crore up to 5 crore. So manufacturing sector is that sector which produces goods and services which converted raw material into finished goods, in which we include plant and machinery investment. And in service sector, investment in equipment is also required. So this is the main investment criteria of micro, small, and medium enterprises. In micro, up to 5 crore, linked to turnover. This is the proposed link to turnover. How much turnover is necessary for micro industries? Up to 5 crore, and in small scale industry, 5 crore to 75 crore, and medium size industries over 75 crore to 250 crore. This is the turnover linked, which is proposed by the Ministry of Micro, Small, and Medium Size Enterprises. Next is SIDO. You know that small scale industries are very important because it generates employment opportunities, it provides raw material, or it provides small parts to big or large scale industries. Small scale industries are very necessary for rural prosperity, and small scale industries are also very necessary for enhancing the artistic skill of the country people. Artisans can get more advantages from these industries, but these industries still very important and play very important role in exports also, but they are facing lots of problem like marketing problem, financial problem, and raw material problem, and they have to face so many problems, like they have less capital. That's why they use outdated and obsolete technology. That's why their product is less qualitative than large scale industries. So they face marketing problem because their product cost is higher, but and due to higher cost, price is also higher. But large scale industries who produces in bulk quantity or in a huge quantity with the help of capital intensive technology, they can sell at a lower price. So they always face competition with large scale industries. So if we want to solve their problems, then government has established this SIDO. SIDO is a Small Industries Development Organization. This SIDO was established in 1954 on recommendations of Ford Foundation. Over the years, it had seen its role evolve into an agency for advocacy, hand-holding, and facilitation for the small industries sector. SIDO provides facilities for testing, tool mending, training for entrepreneurship development, preparation of project and product profiles, technical and managerial consultancy, assistance for export, pollution and energy audits, and so on. So SIDO provide economic information services and advises the government in policy formulation for the promotion and development of small scale industries. That is called SSIs. So SIDO is an organization which recommend the facilities which should be provided to all small scale industries, so that these industries can work smoothly and give more contribution in the development of the economy. That is SIDO, which is very important for small scale and medium size and other industries, small scale cottage and medium size industries development. Next is mission and vision. SIDBI. What is SIDBI? SIDBI is Small Scale Industrial Development Bank of India. SIDBI. In short form, we can say that it is SIDBI. SIDBI is the Small Scale Industrial Development Bank of India. This bank was established only for providing financial facilities to the small scale industries, because small scale industries goodwill, we know that their goodwill is less than large scale industry, and their turnover is also less because due to less investment in these industries. So they face financial problem. That's why government make this SIDBI to provide financial facilities to the small scale and industrial, medium sized industrial sector financial need. It supports finance facilities. So its mission is to empower the micro, small, and medium enterprises sector with a view to contributing to the process of economic growth, employment generation, and balanced regional development. We know that the main important role of small scale industries in our economy is to generate employment opportunities, to solve the problem of unemployment, and it is very necessary for balancing the regional development, to remove or reduce disparity in regional sectors. Then if we want to reduce the regional disparity, then small scale industries are very helpful for balanced regional development. So the main mission of this SIDBI is to generate economic growth, to increase the rate of economic growth and development, to generate more employment opportunities, and for balancing the regional development. And the vision of this SIDBI is to emerge as a single window for meeting the financial and developmental needs of the MSME sector to take it strong, vibrant, and globally competitive to position SIDBI brand as a preferred and customer friendly institution and for enhancement of shareholder wealth and highest corporate values through modern technology platform. So, SIDBI is a great and very important bank, especially it provides financial facilities to the small scale and cottage industries. For agriculture sector, government has established NABARD, NABARD. NABARD is National Agriculture Bank for Rural Development. Same as government has established for the development of small scale and cottage industry, the specific bank government has established, that is SIDBI, which main aim is to provide financial facilities to all micro, small and medium enterprises. Next is measures for small scale industries. We know that small scale industries faces so many problems like marketing problem, financial problem, and outdated technology they use. That's why their product are less qualitative rather than large scale industries. That's why to solve their problems, some measures and some steps are taken by the government to solve their problems. One is government has established some training institutions for SSIs and government give protection against foreign competitors to these small scale and cottage industries. Government provide credit facilities, financial facilities with the help of SIDBI. Government provide government has established some boards, specific boards for these industries. These boards solve all the small scale and cottage industries problem, and government purchases of cottage industries product to promote and encourage these industries. Government provide raw material to these industries, and publicity, because they have less capital intensive technique they use, that's why they have less capital power, they can't give more advertisement for their product. So government mainly provide marketing facilities to these industries in Delhi Heart and trade fair. Government mainly these trade are created by government for promoting and developing the products of small scale and cottage industries, so that small scale industries can encourage and they can sell their product in these fairs like Delhi Heart, Suraj Kund Mela, and Trade Fair. These are some uh, government has started some exhibitions and some fairs for providing uh, marketing facilities to these industries, and testing laboratories are also established by the government. They can test their product quality and they can compete with large scale industries and foreign companies, so that they can improve themselves and they can sell more goods in, and they can produce more and more goods in country. So these are the measures for small scale industries, which really helps in these industries to promote and encourage and work smoothly in country. Next is conclusion of the small scale industry. It play, you know that small scale industries play very important role in expanding employment opportunities and increasing the income of rural people or rural communities. The industry can employ a greater number of workers and its raw material grow abundantly in India with relatively little capital and less capital. Rural communities can develop this business and provide their own employment opportunities. So small scale industries are really very helpful for generating employment opportunities, for rural prosperity, for balancing the regional development, and to give more contribution in exports. So uh, small scale and cottage industries, government should promote always these industries for the development of the country. Now we will discuss about service sector, which is the last unit of this Indian economy BECE 146 paper, that is service sector. You know that three sectors mainly exist in each and every economy for smoothly running the functioning of the economy. That is primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. In Indian economy too, in this paper, we already discussed about agriculture sector and industrial sector in previous sessions. In today's session, we will discuss about service sector, which is the last and most important sector of the economy. The service sector is the main channel through which the primary and secondary sectors of the economy operate. You know that all these sectors are interconnected with each other. Primary sector is very necessary because it provides more than 50% of the country people are employed or getting employment from primary sector, and primary sector is that sector which provide raw material to the industrial sector, and industrial sector take services like transportation, communication, insurance, banking, and shipping corporation, and medical facilities, health facilities, all types of facilities or services provided by service sector. So all these services are also very necessary for primary and secondary sector. So all these three sectors are interconnected and interdependent on each other. Before the rebasing of the economy, the sector was categorized into six different subsectors like transport, storage, communications, wholesale, retail trade, restaurants, hotels, finance, insurance, real estate, and business services. Government services like banks, and government hospitals, government schools all provide services, and community, social, and personal services, and private and NGOs, non-profit services. So service sector can be categorized in these different sub-sectors. Next is tertiary sector. You know that service sector is also known as tertiary sector. Tertiary sector includes activities which renders services to the other two sectors. These activities don't produce a good but are a support for the production process. Also called as service sector as it generates services. It play very important role. Its importance is this sector is very important because it is linked with the other two sectors, which are primary and secondary, which would not develop in the absence of this service sector, because all these sectors are interconnected to each other, interlinked to each other. For example, we include in service sector or in tertiary sector like transportation, banking, communication, teaching, medical facilities, law and order, etc. All these are called service sector services or service sectors and tertiary sector. Next is main features of services. What are the main characteristics? What are the main features of services? First of all, you know that services are always present in intangible or in invisible form, because services you only feel and you can avail the services, but you can't see and touch to all these services. So services first feature is intangibility. Intangibility means services can't be tested, seen, heard, touched, or smelled before purchase. Judgment, therefore, based on opinion, attitude, feeling, perception, and experience. For example, education facility or education services. Next is inseparability. Services are inseparable. Production and consumption are inseparable. Creation and performance consumption are often identical and distribution roles integrated. So some products can't usually exist without the customer. You know that always producer produces goods for whom? Only for consumers. So producer produces goods and without customers' demand, production is useless. If consumer will not demand for any product, then why producer will produce goods and services? So production and consumption, these two things are inseparable, or we can't separate these activities. Third feature of these services are heterogeneity. Heterogeneity means services are always in nature of heterogeneous. Heterogeneous and homogeneous, these are two different words. If all services are same, that is called homogeneous. But if services are not equal or not same, that is called heterogeneous. So heterogeneity is also the main important feature of services. Standardization of output is generally difficult. Units differ in prices, quality, and conformity, and judgment is difficult in advance of purchase, like tourism products. Facilities given by tourism department are depends upon their price, what consumer is paying. So all services are always available in heterogeneous form or in different form, not always homogeneous or not always remains equal or same. Next is perishability. Services are perishable, can't be stored, because if you take medicine from the doctor, then you are taking services from that doctor. And if you consume that medicine, you take that medicine for a day, that will be finished. You can't store, and services are always perishable, and again we have to take these services. So services are not storable, and services are perishable and can't be stored. While short capacity, because if you want to get education, then you can't store in every level of education in a one time. You have to go in school by beginning to your 12th standard. So services are perishable and can't be stored, while short capacity is lost forever with fluctuations in demand. For example, transport and travel. While traveling in bus, you are taking services of transportation. After that, again, if you want to go anywhere, then you will again take the services, but you can't store it. You can't store it, and it is in nature of perishable, which can't be stored, which can be used for the short time period. And next is ownership. Ownership means customers only have access to use services rather than ownership. Like if you take a banking facility from any government or private sector banks, but you can take only services, but you are not the owner of that institution, you are not the owner of that services. So customer only have access to use it of a service rather than ownership. There are thus no ownership transfers, patent or inventories, and payment is for hire or temporary use. For example, leisure facilities. So these are the main important characteristics of services: intangibility, inseparability, heterogeneity, perishability, and ownership. Next is services features. We can explain with the help of this chart. Services are always in nature of intangibility. Service can't be seen, tested, felt, heard, or smelled before purchase. And inseparability, services can't be separated from their providers, because production and consumption are interrelated with each other. It can't be separable. Variability, quality of services are different. It depends on who provides them and when, where, and how. And services are in nature of perishable. Perishable goods are those goods which can't be used for long time period and which we can't be stored. So perishable like fruits, vegetables, bread, milk, these goods are always called perishable. Same as services are also in nature of perishable. So these are the four features of service sector. Services can't be stored for long time period for later or further sale or use. Next is examples of services industries. There are some examples like healthcare in which we include hospital, medical practice, uh, dentistry, eye care, professional services like accounting, legal, architecture, financial services we include banking, investment advising, insurance. In hospitality, we include services of restaurant, hotel, bed and breakfast, sky resort, rafting, etc. Travel, in this we include airline, travel agency, theme park, and others like hairstyling, pest control, plumbing, lawn maintenance, counseling services, health club, interior design. All these are the examples of service industries. So there are so many types of services or service industries in each and every country which provide services to the country people. Next is service sector, sector wise contribution in GDP and remaining portion of the income which is given in which is giving in contribution of GDP, that is service sector. And at present near about 55% contribution in GDP is uh, coming from service sector. So service sector is giving more contribution in GDP at present. Earlier, this 55% contribution in GDP was from agriculture sector. So agriculture sector at the time of independence was giving contribution in GDP that was 55%, but at this time at present uh, it now situation has changed, and at present service sector is giving more contribution in GDP, and that is 55%, and agriculture contribution in GDP is falling, and at present it is 17% around, and industrial sector contribution remaining almost the same in since independence to till now, near about 20 or in between of 30, in between this range 20 to 30%, in between of this range, this contribution is given by industrial sector. So this pie chart is showing the contribution of primary sector, secondary sector, and service sector, in which the larger portion of this angle area is 54.4, that is from coming from service sector, and the smaller area is blue portion, which is 16.83 or 15.87, that is from agriculture sector, and 20.96 and 29.73, that is coming from industrial sector. So this is the sector wise contribution of GDP. Uh, all these sectors are giving contribution in GDP, and in totality, if we are taking this share in is in percentage, then the total of all contribution given by agriculture, industry, and service sector should be 100. So if we add these contributions of all these sectors, then it will be the sum of these contribution will be 100. Next is contribution of service sector in employment. In employment, service sector play very important role and giving more contribution in employment opportunities. Labor market outcomes are critical to economic policy evaluation. growth of jobs, earnings, job quality in terms of worker status like regular work or casual or self employment, and the access to social security benefit tell us much about the well being of workforce in, the, in an economy. India's experience appeared to be different with the share of service sector in GDP, sharply going up in the 1990s, beginning with a share of 43%, but at present its share is around 55% or more than that. So in 1990-91, the share of service sector in GDP was 43%, but to reach a high share of 57% in 2009-10. So we know that service sector is very necessary for the development of two sectors like primary and secondary, and service sector also giving great contribution in employment opportunities. But sometimes we are studying about this thing that at present service sector is growing, but the growth of service sector is called jobless growth. This service sector is growing but not giving more employment opportunities, because in services sector we are taking more and we are using more capital intensive technologies, and if we are using more capital intensive technology, the labor intensive technology use will be less. And if labor intensive technique we will use less, then how we can generate more employment opportunities? So, for some point of view, we can criticize this service sector growth, that service sector is growing. There is no doubt. But service sector is not providing too much employment to the country people, and service sector growth is known as jobless growth, because its main reason is because service sector is using more capital intensive technology rather than labor intensive technology. But you know that in India here labor is abundant and capital is less, so we should use labor intensive technology for provide to provide more employment opportunities to the country people. So this is the contribution of service sector in employment. The growth of GDP, the growth of share in GDP of service sector is growing, but this is growing but not giving more contribution in employment. Next is the main reason behind the growth of service sector includes rapid urbanization. At the time of independence, near about 17% were living in urban area, and 83% people were living in rural areas. But at present, near about 30% people are living in urban area, and 70% people are still living in rural areas. But due to rapid urbanization, the expansion of the public sector, and increased demand for intermediate and final consumer services, that's why service sector is growing. And access to efficient services has become crucial for the productivity and competitiveness of the entire economy. So this is the main reason behind the growth of the services, that is rapid urbanization in those countries where urbanization is growing at a very faster rate. In those countries, service sector will also grow. But in India, here urbanization is still less rather than other developed countries. Next is history of telecom in India. Telecom is also is a service sector industry, and the history of telecom in India. First military landline from the William to Lal Bazar, Calcutta, by the British government. It was established in 1851. After that, 1881 merger with the postal services in 1883, and then merger of ETC and IRT to form IRCC. It means Indian Radio Telegraph Cable Company, that formed in 1932. So, first civil landline service introduced for the British Viceroy and his team in 1881, and formation of Indian Radio Telegraph Company in 1923. And at the time of independence in 1947, the formation of post, telephone, and telegraphs under Ministry of Communication. So this is the history of telecom industry in India since 1851 to till 1947, at the time of independence and before independence, during British rule or colonialism. Next is the evolution of the telecom industry in India can be categorized into three parts. One is stage one, next is stage two, next is stage three. In stage one, this takes the time period of till 1990. It was the time period of state-owned era. It means at the time of 1990 or before this 1990 time period, at this time, public sector was playing more important role in country. You know that in India here is a mixed economy. Mixed economy is that economy in which private and public sector are both are coexist in it. But and India followed this mixed economy system just after independence, getting independence. But in India, at the time period of 1990 and before the reform period of 1991, government was giving more focus or more, and government was enhancing more public sector industries rather than private sector industries. But after adopting this new reform policy or post reform period or new economic policy in which LPG was made, liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So, in this new economic policy of 1991, government has changed the system. At present, government is giving more mm, more pressure or more advantages to private sectors rather than public sectors. And government is doing disinvestment. Government is selling their industries, public sector units in private hands. Not directly selling, government is reducing their share from public sector. Government is withdrawing their share from public sector units and giving enhancement to the private sector to invest private sector all money in public sector units. Um, in which process that is called disinvestment. So till 1990, state-owned era was going on, but till 2001, 2000, advent of private players, because after following this new economic policy of LPG, private players are playing very important role in Indian economy. And stage 3 has divided into two phases, phase 1 and phase 2, from 2000 to 2010. That was called golden era, and phase 2, which is from 2010 to onwards or beyond that, that is redefining age of telecom industry. So this is the evolution of the telecom industry in India, which is also a service sector industry. Next is services. Services are like just like glue. Glue means which combined or which binds all sectors together. So service sector is that sector which is very necessary for all the rest of the other sectors like primary and secondary. So service sector is known as glue that binds all sectors together. Globally competitive services create quality jobs, move up the value chain, enable structural transformation. So here, the services sector growth we can show in three phases. Phase 1 is 2014 to 17, phase 2 is 18 to 21, and phase 3 is 22 to 25. So phase 2014 to 2017, phase 1, that is labor intensive sector like tourism, construction, ship, repair, MRO, accelerate, infrastructure, investment, move to IT, BPM, GBC. And phase 2 is 2018 to 21, in which education, design, research and development, finance, infrastructure, engineering, and services embedded in manufacturing, HRD, and skill training innovation, ecosystem linked with manufacturing. And in phase three, which is future expectations from 2022 to 2025, PHS regional hub, training, upgrade services, manufacturing, related services to sustain growth and job creation. So, pharmaceutical and pharmacy as regional hub and training upgrade services, all these are the service sector which is combined with other sectors. So, this is called the combination of all these sectors with service sector in different time phases. Next is international trade in services. Services also play very important role in international trade. International trade is that trade, you know, that at present all the economies are open economy. All economies has relationship with rest of the world. All economies do international trade. All economies are engaged in international trade, uh, like doing exports and imports with rest of the world. So traditional definition of this international trade is trade in services takes place between a producer and consumer that are in legal terms based in different countries or economies. This is called international trade in services. The conventional statistical meaning of international trade in services was that described in the IMF Balance of Payment Manual, 5th edition BPM 5. This is Balance of Payment Manual, 5th edition, which defines international trade in services as being between resident and non-resident of an economy. So, international trade is that trade in which we are not doing trade only of goods. Now, at present, we can export and import all types of goods and services. And if we include all goods and services which are in nature of tangible and intangible both, visible or invisible both, that is called balance of payment. So, balance of payment is a statement which shows the trade of all goods and services which Indian economy or our country people or our residents are doing with rest of the world. So this is a definition of international trade in services. If we are taking a trade, international trade only for goods only, that will be called BOT, balance of trade. But we are taking goods and services both. And if we are doing international trade with rest of the world with both the goods and services, then we will study the concept of balance of payment. And goods and services international trade like exports and imports are included in balance of payment, and only goods exports and imports are included in balance of trade. So balance of trade is a narrow concept and balance of payment is a broader concept. And service sector also give great contribution in exports also, and it has export potential. Potential means capacity. Service sector has lots of export potential. India is considered to be a potential source for services. There are a number of services that India offers to various parts of the world like banking, insurance, transportation, core data services, accounting services, construction labor, designing, entertainment, education, health services, software services, and tourism. Tourism and software services are among the major foreign exchange earner of the country, and that the growth rate is also very high as compared to the other sector. So service sector has great export potential, and mainly in tourism and software services are major ex, uh, foreign exchange earner in India. Next is share of service sector in GDP and employment. We can show with the help of this multiple bar diagram. Uh, and we are taking different countries like India, China, Mexico, Brazil, UK, and US. With the help of this bar diagram, Now here in India, service sector is giving contribution near about 53%, 53.2% in GDP and 28.6% in employment. Employment in this employment sector, service sector is giving less contribution if we compare with the other developed countries or developing countries. We are it is clearly seen in this bar diagram. Here the contribution of service sector in GDP is higher, like 53.2, but less than the other countries like Mexico, Brazil, UK and US. Here the service sector contribution in GDP is very higher, like in Mexico 60.4% contribution in GDP, and in Brazil 72% contribution in GDP of service sector, in UK 79.9% contribution of service sector in GDP, and in US 79.3% contribution in GDP of service sector. But in China, service sector contribution is less than India, like 49.7. And but the employment sector in India, we can see that in India, service sector is growing, but jobless growth. This growth is jobless growth because service sector is not providing more employment facilities to the country people, because we are using more capital intensive technology in this service sector. That's why in employment its contribution is only 28.6, but in China its contribution in employment is 42.4, and in Mexico its contribution in employment is 61.2, near about same contribution in GDP, and just like same contribution in employment in Mexico. And in Brazil, 72% contribution in GDP and 68.9% contribution in employment. And in UK, almost same, like 80% or 79.9% contribution in GDP and 80% contribution in employment, almost same. And in US, it's also just like same, like 79.3% contribution in GDP and 80% contribution in employment. It means all the other countries are taking advantages of service sector in both these GDP and employment. But in India, there is a huge difference in between of GDP and employment contribution of service sector. So it is clear from this bar diagram, and this is a multiple bar diagram which is showing that in India, here service sector is growing, but this type of growth is called jobless growth. Next is, what is disinvestment? Disinvestment can be defined as the action of an organization or government selling or liquidating an asset or subsidiary. It refers to sale from the government partially or fully of a government owned enterprises. So, disinvestment can be defined as the action of an organization or government selling the any public sector units, or it refers to sale from the government. It may be partially, it may be fully, of a government owned enterprises or public sector units. And benefits of disinvestment are, for the government can focus more on core activities such as infrastructure, defense, education, healthcare, and law and order. And for the markets and economy, what are the advantages of this investment? It brings about greater efficiencies for the economy and market as a whole. So there are too much benefits or too much advantages of this investment if government disinvest the public sector units, and government enhance the role of private sectors and encourage the privatization and private sectors, then government can more give more focus on core activities such as infrastructure, defense, education, healthcare, and law and order. And market and economy also develop and also get advantages from disinvestment, because it will bring greater efficiencies for the economy and market as a whole. So this is the benefits of disinvestment for the government and for the market and economy. Next is GST rates for services. What is the GST rate? GST is goods and services tax. Initially, the rate slab was decided by the government 5%, 18, 12%, then 18% and 28%. Rental, cab services, air travel, etc. 5%. Basic services for Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana accounts, etc. nil. There is no GST rate. And amusement park and go karting, etc. Here is 28% GST. And outdoor catering, theaters, etc. 18% GST was fixed by the government. And movie ticket under rupees 100, etc. 12% GST was fixed. But GST rate on services at present 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%. 5% GST is fixed on transports of goods by rail, road, air, ship, transports of passengers, railroad, economy, air travel, tour operator, print media ads, newspaper printing, etc. 12% GST imposed by the government on air travel business class, non-AC restaurants, hotel rooms rent rupees 1000 to 2500, construction of building complex, temp transfer of intellectual properties, 18% GST general rate on all services, no specific rate, food, drinks, etc. in AC, restaurant, bars, outdoors catering, pandals, etc. Composite supply works, etc. And 28% GST on race club, gambling, hotel rent more than rupees 5000 a day, services provided in five-star hotels, cinema, multiplex, IPL, casino, amusement parks, and sporting events. So this is the GST rate on services. Now conclusion. Now we have discussed today all these services like service sector. You know that service sector is very important for India as it is contributing half of the GDP growth in the Indian economy. It was earlier it was the place of agriculture sector which was giving more contribution in GDP, that was 55%, but at present this 55% contribution is in GDP was coming is coming from service sector. So finally we can conclude that service sector play very important role in India's because it is giving more contribution or more than half of the GDP growth in the Indian economy is coming from service sector. Employment is increasing due to the development of service sector. But we have seen that service sector is growing, but the growth of the service sector is almost can be called jobless growth because the GDP contribution of service sector is 55%, but in employment its contribution is 28%, which is near about half. There is a very good scope to improve further in the services provided by the companies and government. As India is developing, you know that India is a developing country. And at the time of independence, India was underdeveloped or backward or stagnant economy. But after independence, Indian economy is growing and developing very fastly. There is a need for change in the quality and also the speediness of the services. So, in today's session, you have studied about service sector, role of service sector in India, and how many services we are taking, we are using from our country, and how many services are providing by the government or by the private sectors to the country people, and how these services are interconnected with primary sector and manufacturing sector. So, in BECE 146, Indian Economy 2, you have studied about all these sectors of the economy like primary, secondary, and tertiary or service sector. Now, your syllabus has been finished or completed. Thank you.